List places that you're probably banned from visiting. First up is this beautiful mountain in China.
Then on our list, we have Nihao Island, USA. This island was purchased by Elizabeth Sinclair.
And we're starting things off with the White House Situation Room. The Situation Room is the nerve center for the United States national security and crisis management. It may be an utter shock to you, but this place is off limits to the public, and even access by government officials is tightly controlled. Its main purpose is to provide the president with up-to-the-minute info during emergencies and crises, from military actions to natural disasters. The room is equipped with advanced communication technology, classified information systems, and video conferencing capabilities so that the president has all the necessary tools to make critical decisions. I'm picturing that scene in like every big budget action movie where there's a bunch of guys in suits sitting around a big table. There's a big like floating head talking about this is going on here and all these screens popping up. Probably doesn't look anything like that, but one can hope. Of course, anything top secret where the government is concerned has its fair share of conspiracies attached to it. One is that the Situation Room has secret archives containing information about extraterrestrial encounters or advanced technology. Another is that the Situation Room has been used for covert operations and shadowy government activities, which isn't really a conspiracy. That's just obviously exactly true. Number 9, the Coca-Cola Vault. Deep in the bowels of the World of Coca-Cola Museum in Atlanta, there is a vault that houses one of the most top secret artifacts in the United States of America. Legend has it that this vault safeguards the secret recipe for Coca-Cola, the closely guarded elixir that has delighted the taste buds of not just Americans, but soda freaks from all over the world for over a century. The level of protection here is almost on par with Fort Knox, but of course, where there's a vault, there are bound to be whispers and rumors. Some suggest that the recipe is actually stored on an ancient scroll guarded by a mythical soda deity. Others wonder if the vault conceals a secret passage to a parallel soda universe. Unfortunately, unless you spend your days striving for employment at this establishment in order to tend to the vault yourself, you and I will never truly know what wonders are stored inside that place. There are wonders that are very much available to you right here on this channel, so hit that subscribe button. Now let's turn our attention to the legendary Fort Knox. This fortress was established in 1936 in Kentucky. It's a highly secure facility that houses a significant portion of the US government's gold reserves. It's surrounded by layers of defense. Its security measures include armed guards, electronic surveillance, and impenetrable vaults. The depository's primary purpose is to safeguard the nation's wealth, but what else could they be holding in there? One claim suggests that the gold within Fort Knox has actually been replaced with replicas in order to kind of avert everyone's attention from the real location of the goods. Another theory is that Fort Knox holds more than just gold. Classified documents, advanced technology, or even extraterrestrial artifacts safely hidden inside these impenetrable vaults.
Next, let's talk about Lake Anjikuni. Lake Anjikuni is a remote lake in the Northern Territories of Canada. Covered with ice and snow for half of the year, it forms part of a string of waterways that the Inuit used for fishing and trade. In November 1930, a fur trapper named Joe LaBelle passed through a small Inuit community near Anjikuni Lake and found that all of its inhabitants were gone. Just poof. There was no evidence of foul play, but it was clear that something happened. Food was hung over fire pits, projects were left half finished, and 7 sled dogs tied to posts had starved to death. LaBelle reported his findings to the Northwest Mountain Police, and the police found that the Inuit had been missing for 8 weeks before LaBelle's visit, but could not locate them or uncover what happened. Adding to the mystery, officers reported seeing blue, unnatural pulsing lights over Lake Anjikuni. Superstition Mountains are our next location. Okay, so with a place called Superstition Mountains, I feel like if you're willing to go there, I feel like that's on you. Yeah. The Superstition Mountains east of Phoenix, Arizona are well known for being the resting place of the Lost Dutchman's treasure, but it is also full of unfriendly wildlife, sheer drop-offs, deep canyons, and wild swings in temperature. Not to mention the many mysterious disappearances, strange sounds, and unexplained deaths that gave it its name, Superstition. Now, more hikers disappear in the Superstitions than any other mountain range, claims George Johnson, president of the Superstition Mountain Museum. Now, the average average is 4 to 5 hikers per year. Such two hikers were Adolf Ruth and James A. Cravey. Treasure hunter Adolf Ruth acquired maps to old mines, convinced that one of them would lead to the lost Dutchman's treasure. Now instead, they led to his disappearance and death. A message in a bottle revealed that Ruth had broken his leg and needed help, but hinted that he had found the treasure before becoming injured. In December 1932, a bullet hole was discovered in his skull a mile from the rest of his body. Similarly, in 1947, the headless body of a prospector named James A. Cravey was found tied up in a blanket while his head was 30 feet away. Let's discuss Odessa's catacombs. It's said on New Year's Eve in 2005, a girl named Masha went out with a large group of friends to celebrate and found an entrance to the mines of Odessa's catacombs. Now, the catacombs are not easy to navigate, especially when you're drunk like Masha might have been that night. By some estimates, they span 1,550 miles. Now, the teens are said to have stayed down there all night, but they left in the morning, well, without Masha. About 4 months after New Year's in April 2005, word spread among cave explorers that there was a fresh body down there. A photo taken in the catacombs shows 3 blank-faced boys who look like they're in their early teens, posing like they've just stumbled upon the body. In the photo, Masha is unidentifiable beyond simply being a human. She lies on her left side, legs curled like she's sleeping, while the upper half of her decomposing body has lost its form altogether. Now, 2 years passed and no one retrieved the body. Then it's said that a famous journalist delivered a story to government officials, and it's not clear what the journalist wrote, but allegedly the government got moving and removed the body less than 24 hours later. Moving on to the water tank. On January 26, 2013, Canadian tourist Elisa Lam checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Now, when she never checked out on February 1st, nor had any contact with her parents, the Los Angeles Police Department was contacted. On February 19th, 18 days from the last time she was seen, Elisa's body was found floating and naked in a water tank on the roof of the Cecil Hotel. Her body was found due to hotel guests complaining about the hotel's water pressure. According to the hotel's manager, when she first checked in, she was staying in a hostel-style room with other travelers, but later was moved to her own private room due to complaints from her roommates about odd behavior. The last time she was seen was on surveillance footage on the hotel's elevator. Now, the footage shows Elisa acting strange, almost like she was hiding. After her body and the surveillance footage were found, it suggested that she was on some sort of hallucinogenic drug, but toxicology studies reported that there were no traces of any drugs or alcohol that could have contributed to her death. To this day, no one knows how she was able to access the roof or climb into the water tank and shut the 20-pound lid by herself. Next is the abandoned house. On May 8th, 2008, Josh Maddox left the house, telling his sister Kate that he was going out for a walk, but when he failed to return later that evening, the family became worried. On May 13th, 5 days after he disappeared, his father Mike called the police to report Josh missing. The authorities, friends, and family scoured the neighborhood in nearby Parkland where Josh may have decided to go walking, but after months of searching, nothing had been uncovered and hopes faded. Then, 7 years later, in August 2015, less than a mile away from Josh's home, property developer Chuck Murphy was demolishing an old wood cabin. Work to demolish the chimney inside the cabin started, and to the surprise of the demolition team, crammed inside the brickwork was a mummified body, which was later confirmed as Josh. His body was naked apart from a thin shirt, and his clothes were neatly stacked inside the cabin. An autopsy found no evidence of drugs in Josh's remains, and there were no broken bones, no knife marks, no bullet holes. They said it was very confusing, but that it was not an instant death. Now, whatever happened to Josh appears to forever remain a mystery. And last on our list is the Nutty Putty Cave. The Nutty Putty Cave, first explored in 1960 by Dale Green and friends, is currently owned by the Utah School and Institutional Trust Lands Administration. Before 2009, this cave had 4 separate rescues of cavers and Boy Scouts who got stuck inside the cave's tight twists, turns, and crawls. A gate was installed on May 24, 2006, and the cave was temporarily closed. In early 2009, proper management was established and an application process was developed to ensure safety precautions were being met. On May 18, 2009, the cave was reopened to the public, and on November 24, 2009, a man named John Edward Jones became stuck and subsequently subsequently died in the cave after being trapped inside for 27 to 28 hours. John and 3 others had left their party in search of the birth canal, a passageway with a turnaround at the end. John entered an unmapped passageway which he wrongly believed to be the canal and found himself at a dead end with nowhere to go besides a narrow vertical fissure. Believing this to be the turnaround, he entered headfirst and became wedged upside down and stuck. Now this sounds like an absolute nightmare. A large team of rescue workers came to his assistance, but all rescues failed and John passed away in the cave. Rescuers concluded that it would be too dangerous to attempt to retrieve his body, so the landowner and John's family came to an agreement that the cave would be permanently closed, with the body sealed inside as a memorial to him. Explosives were used to collapse the ceiling close to John's body, and the entrance hole was filled with concrete to prevent further access. But wow, what a horrible thing to happen.
First up is a sit-down and drive-through McDonald's located in Samoa, also known as the most remote McDonald's in the world, sitting at an astounding 770 miles, or about 4,600,000 feet from the next nearest franchise location. The restaurant, which is located inside a 150-year-old colonial mansion on the small island country, features a McGaiga meal that costs £38, about $65 Canadian, and consists of 2 Big Mac medium meals, 2 Quarter Pounder small meals, 2 deluxe cheeseburgers, and 2 8-piece McNuggets. Honestly, not a bad deal. You might think it difficult to sustain the franchise on such a small island, but the reality is quite the opposite in fact. Locals and tourists alike rejoice in the little slice of processed heaven and have kept the business booming since its opening in 2000. The restaurant is also a notable hotspot for the island's rugby team, with players enjoying the fast food delights so much that they were actually banned from partaking in such delicacies while competing overseas, as their coach feared their inevitable overindulgence would ruin their chances at winning the World Cup. Next up, we have the Arizona Aqua Arts Beauty located in Sedona, Arizona. While it might not be banned, you just might miss it, as when the restaurant was constructed in 1993 just off of Route 98A, its existence was contingent on the fact that the restaurant blended seamlessly with the natural beauty of the 48th state. While at first this was a bit of a turnoff for developers, the collaboration with the state's city council and planning and zoning commissions actually turned out to be a quite lucrative one. The restaurant became yet another reason for tourists to make their way to the Sandy State, and those who were already there just had to check out this one-off, off-colored location and lay their eyes on the blue-green arches they had heard so much about before heading off on their next adventure. And that brings us to our next location, in New Mexico. Fun fact, while New Mexico is well known for being a hotbed for extraterrestrial action and activity, it is also home to one of the most out-of-this-world McDonald's locations known to man. And possibly others? In case you haven't guessed by now, this McDonald's was built in the shape of a giant, unidentified flying object, or extraterrestrial spaceship, if you will. The UFO-shaped McDonald's graced the sunny state of New Mexico around 2011 and quickly became one of the coolest locations to date and a huge tourist hotspot for Big Mac hoppers and alien enthusiasts alike. With its bright red lights and glowing golden arches, who knows what kind of creatures this thing attracts. Now, it might not be banned, but it does look like it has the opportunity to blast off into hyperspace, so if you were looking for an excuse to visit, well, there it is.
Number 7, Area 51. Hard to avoid talking about Area 51 in a list like this. Situated within the larger Edwards Air Force Base, Area 51 has been a hub for aircraft testing and pilot training since 1955. But as we all know, gaining entry into this place is basically impossible unless you work there. So what's happening inside those heavily guarded fences? Well, officially, it's about testing cutting-edge aircraft and training top-notch pilots. There may also be top-secret military planes and likely highly advanced technology housed in there as well. But the extraterrestrial angle is what fascinates the vast majority of people. Rumors have been swirling for ages that Area 51 is ground zero for UFO activity. According to many UFO and alien enthusiasts, this is where the government stashes crashed flying saucers and reverse engineers alien tech. Even though the government finally admitted Area 51 existed in the late 90s, it didn't exactly clear up all the mystery. Declassified documents spilled some of the beans about its aerospace research role, but the place still very much has this aura of intrigue around it. In at number 6, we have Club 33 in Disneyland. This Disneyland secret society adds a layer of mystery to the happiest place on Earth. Located in several Disney parks across the globe, Club 33 is a hidden oasis of luxury and exclusivity. The story goes that Club 33 was originally conceived as a private escape for Walt Disney to entertain special guests. Since its opening in 1967, it's become the stuff of theme park legend. Getting into Club 33 is no small feat. The entrance is unassuming, marked only by a simple address plaque and a discreet doorbell. Behind this unassuming facade lies a world of wonder, complete with a lavish dining area, exclusive events, and a balcony that offers a bird's eye view of the park. There are lots of urban legends about Club 33, that there are secret passages connecting the club to other parts of the park so that special guests can move through Disneyland out of the public eye. There's a pretty great story on Reddit about Club 33, in a thread asking folks who have worked there what the club is like. One Redditor chimed in saying he worked at Disneyland and a coworker of his had gone to the bathroom in Club 33 and was very impressed with the fancy toilet paper, so he decided to take some of it home with him. And then from behind him he heard a voice say, "Make sure you leave some for me." Then he turned around and it was none other than Nicolas Cage, which you probably guessed based on my incredible impression. Next, we move on to the Los Alamos National Laboratory, a scientific powerhouse in the mountains of New Mexico. It was established as Project Y during World War II as part of the Manhattan Project. It's probably most famous for its work in nuclear research. Nuclear. Nobody likes how I pronounce nuclear. I say nuclear, and it's nuclear. Nuclear. And it's probably most famous for its work in nuclear research. It's a sprawling complex full of some of the world's top scientists. The laboratory has been at the forefront of developing groundbreaking technology with a primary focus on nuclear weapons. It's the birthplace of the atomic bomb. Today, Los Alamos dives into everything from national security and defense to cutting-edge scientific exploration, and there's no doubt they're working on some insane top secret projects in there. Classified technology and experiments that go way beyond what's publicly known. The Dugway Proving Ground. This facility was originally conceived as a testing site for chemical weapons during World War II. Over the years, its mission evolved to encompass a broader range of responsibilities, including the evaluation of defensive measures against biological and chemical threats. The facility became more prominent during the Cold War, when the threat of chemical and biological warfare was a real looming threat. It became a hub for research and testing aimed at developing effective countermeasures and protective gear. Dugway has vast and meticulously controlled testing grounds. The size of the area makes for a variety of simulations and scenarios, helping researchers and military understand the potential impacts of chemical and biological weapons in different conditions. Some speculate, though, that the facility is actually involved in experiments not just having to do with defense. Number 3, Camp Perry. Established during World War II to train Navy Seabees, things became far more covert during the Cold War. As for exactly what goes on there now, there's still a bit of mystery to it. In the early 50s, though, the base underwent a transformation, becoming a key component in the world of intelligence gathering. The most well-known function of Camp Perry is its training facility for the CIA, often referred to as the Farm. This secretive aspect of the base focuses on training CIA officers in the art of espionage, covert operations, and intelligence gathering. The site's remote location is ideal for this, adding an extra layer of security, shielding it from prying eyes. It's also classified as a black site, meaning it's a secret facility involved in covert activity. The base has, of course, been a breeding ground for speculation and conspiracy because of how heavily restricted it is. A significant portion of the activities going on there remain classified. There are theories that the base is involved in extraterrestrial research or that it houses advanced technology hidden from the public eye. The Nevada National Security Site. Formerly known as the Nevada Test Site, this expansive area is used for the development and testing of nuclear weapons. Located about 65 miles miles northwest of Las Vegas. The Nevada National Security Site has seen over 1,000 nuclear tests since its establishment in 1951. These tests range from above-ground explosions to underground experiments, and today the site is no longer used for active nuclear testing, but it's still used for various national security activities. The specifics of these activities are unsurprisingly classified. The Nevada National Security Site is managed by the National Nuclear Security Administration, or the NNSA, a branch of the U.S. Department of Energy. Access to the site is restricted, and it operates with a high level of security, which is good when there's nuclear bombs involved. And finally, we have the NRO, or the National Reconnaissance Office. Based in Virginia, the NRO is in the business of keeping an eye on things from way up there in the sky. And by things, I also mean us. They're the folks responsible for designing, building, and operating those hush-hush reconnaissance satellites that orbit the Earth. These satellites are high-tech eyes in the sky, capturing all sorts of intel, from keeping tabs on potential threats to monitoring national disasters. Then they analyze the intel and pass the info on to other organizations like the CIA. Now, when it comes to secrecy, the NRO takes it to another level. They are very tight-lipped about the nitty-gritty details of their operations. Information is power, after all. The question on everyone's mind, of course, is what are these satellites really peeking at? The specifics are classified. It's clear, though, that the NRO plays a big role in national security. Access to information about the NRO's day-to-day operations is very limited, and that naturally fuels a lot of speculation. Like, just how much are they really paying attention to?
Starting us off today, we have the Baghdad Fort, located in Rajasthan, India. The fort was built in the village of Kuldara in the 17th century by Emperor Madho Singh for his son Man Singh, and is now known today as one of the most haunted places in India. The legend says that when the fort was built, the emperor made a promise to a man named Baba Blue Nath that the shadow of the structure would not touch the body of the man in his home where he practiced his meditations. Unfortunately, the emperor lied, and in a bout of greed, built the fort much taller and wider than the two had originally agreed upon, which proved to be a big mistake, as it is said that the hermit Baba Balu then cursed the village, which later led to its very abrupt destruction. In 1825, without warning, the village of Kuldara, as well as 83 of its neighboring villages, suddenly vanished in the dark. Now, new studies suggest that the disappearance of the villages may have been due to a devastating earthquake, but I'm not so sure. I mean, Baba Balu seemed pretty serious about the whole shadow thing. Today, the fort is open for exploration from sunrise to sunset, but it is strictly off limits after dark. While there are some who have given into temptation and broken this rule, we're still unsure of what goes on at Bangar Fort in the dead of night, as those who have gone in at this time have never actually come out.
Next up on our list, we have Area 6. Not quite as infamous as its 51st counterpart, Area 6 is much less well known, but still full of mystery and forbidden knowledge. Area 6 is just one area on the Nevada test site that is reserved for those with the highest security clearance. While this place isn't full of rumors and speculations of mermaids and aliens, it is the site that held 4 nuclear tests for a total of 6 detonations. This area includes an asphalt runway and some nearby buildings, including a hangar. One of the buildings was originally constructed as a device assembly facility, but it now serves as the CEF, which is the Critical Experiments Facility. One of the most notable moments from Area 6 took place in 1982 during a very crucial time, as a live nuclear bomb, really want to put emphasis on the fact that it was a live nuclear bomb, was being lowered into the ground, presumably for one of the experiments experiments, the base actually came under attack by armed combatants. This, of course, was surprising and dangerous and frightening, especially considering the live nuclear weapon that was around at the time. As it turns out, this attack was actually just a security team that was conducting a drill. Looks as if someone messed up on the scheduling that day, and it almost turned out completely catastrophic. Luckily, whoever was at the control point, which serves as the communication hub of Area 6, where they control the weapons triggers and monitor the test nuclear explosions, luckily those in the control area that day were able to recognize this mistake before anything got too out of hand.
Moving on to Poveglia Island in Italy. The small island located between Venice and Lido was once used as a quarantine center for those affected with the plague. The island is said to have hosted over 160,000 infected individuals who, upon their demise, were either buried in massively overcrowded graves or simply burned due to said overcrowding. There are even reports out there that state a whopping 50% of the island's soil is actually consistent of human remains. And believe it or not, it doesn't actually end there, as in the late 1800s, the island was used as a mental hospital where it is believed one of the doctors routinely tortured his patients. And if that's not enough, because of all this, it is now believed that the island is extremely haunted, with some going so far as to say it's the most haunted place in the world. Reports of ghost sightings and hearing the screams of the deceased in the dead of night are by no means in short supply. In 1968, the Italian government decided it wanted absolutely nothing to do with the island, the smell of death, and all of the spooky baggage, and therefore it deemed it both banned and prohibited. You are more than welcome to take boat rides around the island, but to step foot on the sands of what is essentially just a massive graveyard is a big no-no. What's the creepiest place you've ever been? Let us know in the comments.
Coming up next, we have the Morgan Stanley's data center located in New York. It is recognized as one of the most secure data centers globally. This facility plays a pivotal role in the world of finance, handling an immense volume of sensitive financial data and transactions daily. The security and integrity of this data are paramount given its potential impact on global markets and the privacy of countless individuals. Consequently, the data center employs state-of-the-art security measures, both digital and physical, to safeguard against any form of breach or intrusion. The exact location and intricate details of this facility are a closely guarded secret, known only to a select few within the organization. This secrecy is maintained not just to protect the center from physical threats, but also to safeguard against cyber threats, which are increasingly sophisticated in the financial sector. The data center's operations are a testament to Morgan Stanley's commitment to security and confidentiality, reflecting the immense responsibility they bear in the global financial landscape. This sounds really a lot like an ad for Morgan Stanley. You're welcome, guys. I'm doing it for free. It's like a fortress for all things financial, all right? You're welcome, Morgan.
Speaking of oddly shaped places to enjoy a nice hot meal served to you in a cardboard box, we have the plane-shaped McDonald's located in New Zealand. Well, it's not just plane-shaped, it's actually a decommissioned Douglas DC-3 aircraft, complete with an intact cockpit. While you can't actually order food from inside of the Big M emblem-adorned airliner, you can grab your food from the counters located in the more traditional restaurant next door, and then bring them over to enjoy an experience like never before. That's right, I'm talking about eating microwave food on an airplane. To be honest, I'm not quite sure how either airlines or fast food restaurants cook their food, but what I do know is that Douglas DC-3 has a fully refurbished interior, complete with big comfy red chairs and shiny metal tables, creating a dining experience like no other that can accommodate up to 20 patrons at a time. What's the coolest McDonald's you've ever been to? Let us know in the comments. Have you ever tried to go through a drive-thru without a car? Oh, yeah, me neither. Well, if you ever wanted to, this next location is the place to do it, as cars are strictly banned from this ski-through McDonald's located in Lidvallen Ski Resort, about 200 miles northwest of Stockholm in Sweden. Also known as McSki, the newly popular location has actually been around since about 1966, if you can believe it, and has been a staple for skiers and snowboarders alike. With McDonald's complete classic menu available for order, this pick-me-up pit stop is truly like no other, and as hitting the slopes can work up quite an appetite, I truly can't think of a better way to satisfy your hunger without cutting too much into your adrenaline-chasing chill time. McDonald's is best known for being a quick spot that doesn't break the bank. But have you ever heard of a McDonald's that was a bank? Well, if you haven't, you're about to. With one user on TripAdvisor referring to it as the classiest McDonald's in the world, this one-off variation is located in, bear with me, Kristiansand, Norway. While there is not much information of this particular franchise location to be found online, it is open to the public and boasts a classic McDonald's menu, as well as a few more items specific to McDonald's in Norway, such as the home-style juicy burger, pasta salad with chicken or ham, hot wings, oatmeal with raisins, the chicken premier burger, and something called a McToast. Because of its location, we of course have to assume that at one point many areas within the walls of what is now a cool place for a quick bite were strictly banned from the public, given that the restaurant once contained safes and vaults full of copious amounts of cash. Next on the list we have a McDonald's, an extremely popular mega capitalist McDonald's, laughably and ironically located directly outside the entrance to the Museum of Communism located in Czechia, Prague. Now, honestly, in this instance, I'm surprised it wasn't banned from ever being open there in the first place. But it seems the Prager people have quite the sense of humor, as there is an ad posted outside of the museum that reads, "Museum of Communism," above the casino, right next to the McDonald's. So I guess they really are above capitalism. The McBarge, as it was once known, is next on the list. This creepily eerie and now abandoned location was once the forefront of innovation for the franchise. When the floating restaurant was opened in 1986, it was a place for sea dwellers and landlubbers alike to indulge in what seems to be everyone's common ground, cheap food and good scenery. However, the magic of the marina-based Maiden didn't last long, as only 5 years after, in 1991, the new owner of the grounds forced the boat to depart from the docks, making it rather difficult to keep the business booming. Since the McBarge's departure from the McDocks of Vancouver, it has been anchored and abandoned just near British Columbia. Since then, many people have been going out to see this abandoned national treasure, and there has even been some public interest in refurbishing and reopening the restaurant as well. Believe it or not, New Mexico wasn't actually the first place to have a space-themed establishment. The OG extraterrestrial spacecraft turned restaurant was actually located in Alconbury, Cambridge in England, and was built in 1990 and converted into a McDonald's shortly after in 1993. But much like the McBarge, the adventure was short-lived, as it shut down just 7 years later in the year 2000. The UFO-inspired structure adorned with the golden arches we all know and love was, at the time, the definition of space-aged architecture. The restaurant showcased a computerized ordering system and a drive-thru that often queued all the way out into the main road. A former employee by the name of David Meredith described the restaurant as having a gloomy atmosphere, saying that although it was space-aged, the lights were dim, and whoever had crafted the structure, it seems, had forgotten to add windows. While this location is not necessarily banned, it is unable to be reached by the public, or anyone else for that matter, as it was sadly demolished in 2008 after having been abandoned since its closure just 8 years prior. And that brings us to our final location in the infamous Guantanamo Bay, an area best known for being home to the largest detention camp under the control of the United States and the United States military. Since 2002, roughly 780 detainees have been held at the center. However, in a report released in 2023, it seems that number has since dwindled to just 30 persons who are still being kept within its walls. To enter Guantanamo Bay would require area clearance and a special kind of government-issued passport. So you might be wondering, how did a McDonald's end up there, and why? Well, the only McDonald's in Cuba opened in 1986 and has since been a staple of home to the military personnel residing there while working for the US government. And as long as the US continues to exercise its jurisdiction and control over the Bay Area, I'm guessing it's here to stay. Now, while it's no secret that American soldiers tend to enjoy some McDonald's every now and then, It appears the prisoners living on the base might too, as there have been rumors of inmates being offered Happy Meals in exchange for their cooperation. Of course, this area is completely banned to members of the public, so don't be expecting to indulge in any Big Macs or Happy Meals the next time you hit up Cuba.
Let's delve into the mystical allure of the Ise Grand Shrine in Japan, a pinnacle of spiritual significance in Shintoism. Revered as one of the holiest and most sacred sites, this shrine embodies a tradition steeped in antiquity and mysticism. Uniquely, the Ise Grand Shrine is part of an ancient and ongoing ritual where it is demolished and rebuilt every 20 years, a practice known as Shikinen Sengu. This ritual, deeply embedded in Shinto beliefs, symbolizes the concept of impermanence and renewal, essential to maintaining the purity and power of the shrine. The materials and techniques used for reconstruction are kept traditional, honoring centuries-old craftsmanship. Access to the shrine's innermost sanctum, where the sacred mirror, considered to be one of the 3 imperial regalia of Japan, is kept, is extraordinarily restricted. This privilege is reserved solely for the shrine's priestess or priest, who is usually a member of the Japanese imperial family, and no other person, not even the emperor, is allowed inside. This level of exclusivity and the profound cultural and religious significance of the shrine make it a fascinating, albeit very mysterious, destination. Next up, we have Room 39 in North Korea. Room 39 in North Korea represents a layer of mystery within an already secretive nation. Believed to be nestled in the heart of a ruling Workers' Party building in Pyongyang, Room 39 is enveloped in mysterious tales and a lot of speculation. This clandestine entity is rumored to be a linchpin in a network of illegal activities primarily focused on generating foreign currency for the regime. It is said to be involved in a wide array of covert operations ranging from counterfeiting currencies to international insurance fraud and even illicit substance trafficking. The reality of what transpires within its walls is known to only a select few, shrouded in the utmost secrecy. This veil of mystery only compounds the intrigue surrounding Room 39, making it a focal point of international curiosity and speculations about the lengths to which North Korea goes to sustain its economy and fund its leadership's agendas. Next up, we have the Jiangsu National Security Education Museum in China. This museum, located in the heart of Nanjing, represents a unique facet of espionage history, but with a catch. It is strictly off-limits to foreigners. This policy is not just a formality, it is rigorously enforced, underscoring the sensitive nature of the exhibits within. Inside, the museum houses an extensive collection of Chinese espionage equipment and confidential documents, offering an unparalleled glimpse into the shadowy world of spies and secret agents. It's a veritable treasure trove of state secrets, spy gadgets, and covert operations accessible exclusively to Chinese citizens. From cipher machines used during revolutionary times to modern-day surveillance equipment, the museum provides a comprehensive overview of China's intelligence history. It stands as a testament to the country's very complex relationship with espionage. It is shrouded in mystery and very tightly controlled, mirroring the secretive and exclusive nature of the intelligence world itself.
On a bit of a lighter note, the Coca-Cola Vault is up next on the list. The vault, located in a museum in Atlanta, is, as you've probably guessed, home to the notorious Coca-Cola recipe, or the secret formula, some might say. The recipe, which dates all the way back to 1986, was originally kept at SunTrust Bank under lock and key from 1925 up until the company's 25th anniversary in 1996, when the super secret recipe was relocated to the high-tech vault in Atlanta. But any visitors hoping to catch a peek were sadly disappointed, as even during the transportation period, the recipe was kept under lock and key, securely sealed inside a metal box. Of course, the 10-foot vault in which the secret formula is kept is strictly off-limits to the public. While the recipe is allegedly written down and highly protected, it is said that there are 2 people in the world who have actually laid eyes on it and have the formula memorized. These 2 individuals are forbidden from ever flying flying on the same plane so that in the unlikely event of a crash landing ending in the tragic death of one, the other would still be able to carry on the legacy. Not sure about you guys, but for such a big safe, I kind of wonder what else they're hiding in there.
Next up around our halfway point is the Dome of the Rock, an architectural marvel and a spiritual mystery that stands majestically in Jerusalem, captivating the imaginations of millions worldwide. Covered in layers of history and reverence, this iconic structure is not only a masterpiece of Islamic architecture, but also a symbol of the complex tapestry of faiths in Jerusalem. For many, it remains an elusive treasure, as access to the interior is extremely limited, especially for non-Muslim visitors, adding to its aura of mystery. Perched atop the ancient and sacred Temple Mount, the site whispers tales of religious significance, rumored to be the place where Abraham prepared to sacrifice Isaac and where the Prophet Muhammad ascended to heaven. The shimmering golden dome, visible from various points in the city, serves as a beacon of intrigue, silently guarding centuries-old secrets and religious mysteries. This restriction on entry only amplifies the dome's allure, making it a very tantalizing emblem of the untouchable, covered in myth, history, and spiritual significance.
And that brings us to the Fukushima exclusion zone in none other than Fukushima, Japan. The exclusion zone came to be as a result of a nuclear disaster that occurred in March of 2011. On March 11th, Japan was struck by a massive earthquake, followed quickly by a tsunami in which waves reaching more than 10 meters high engulfed the island. The devastation of the natural disaster caused the reactors of the Daiichi nuclear power plant to overheat, melt, and subsequently leak harsh radioactive materials into the surrounding environment. Not only did this cause the area to become banned to members of the public, it also resulted in some pretty interesting effects on the surrounding areas and wildlife. Mutations were reported to be found in butterflies and on the leaves of many trees surrounding the site of the meltdown. Scientists worried about the lasting effects this might have on the area, but a recent study suggested that there was no significant increase to the mutation rate within the area. While parts of Fukushima have now been reopened for public exploration, the site of and the immediate area surrounding the meltdown are still of restricted access. Despite these restrictions, in 2016, a Malaysian photographer and 2 colleagues managed to sneak their way into the prohibited area, and after emerging back into the better-known world, described it as a ghost town and said being there made them feel as though they were the last people on the planet.
Kicking off the top 3, we have the Dai Hiwa Kinento, or the Great Peace Prayer Tower, which is situated in Osaka, Japan. This place stands as a solemn monument dedicated to the memory of those who lost their lives during World War II. This poignant memorial is a symbol of peace and reflection, embodying the hopes for a world without war. Within its grounds lies an especially poignant section, an underground library. This library is a repository of deeply personal and historic artifacts, a collection of letters written by soldiers during the war. These letters, often the last messages sent to their families and loved ones, offer a window into the human experiences and emotions of wartime. However, access to this underground library is not granted to the public. It remains a restricted area, preserving the privacy and sanctity of these personal and historical documents. This is exactly what sets this place apart from other memorial buildings. It's not just a memorial in the traditional sense, but also a guardian of personal histories and a testament to the individual lives affected by the ravages of war.
And of course we had to include the extremely bizarre yet strangely captivating Morgan Island. With more than 2,000 acres of beautiful land located in South Carolina, the island has often been referred to as Monkey Island, which is quite fitting as the area is home to over 4,000 wild rhesus monkeys. The species, however, is not native to the island, but was rather brought over from Puerto Rico in 6 shipments during 1997 and 3 more in 1980 in an attempt to relocate these silly little creatures. Now, if you're wondering why on earth the lovely people on the beautiful island of Puerto Rico wanted the monkeys gone in the first place, well, that's because they weren't just any regular old rhesus monkeys, but they were rhesus monkeys infected with the herpes B virus, which I will save you the Google search. Yes, humans can 100% contract the virus from coming in contact with the affected monkeys. So it's safe to say that the fact this island has banned public entry, strictly reserving the area for researchers only, is not something any of us are too torn up about. I mean, monkeys are cute and all, but I'm quite happy to count myself out from this particular tropical paradise.
Finally, rounding out our list today, we have Club 33, an exclusive and elusive club nestled in the heart of Disneyland. It is a symbol of luxury and exclusivity in a place otherwise known for its accessibility and universal appeal. This well-kept secret of Disneyland, discreetly located in New Orleans Square, boasts a waiting list that spans years, reflecting its allure and very exclusive nature. Gaining membership to Club 33 is not only a matter of patience, but also of financial might, as it comes with a very steep price tag. Rumored to be in the tens of thousands of dollars for initiation fees, plus annual dues, of course. The club offers its members a unique experience, hopefully, thank God if it costs tens of thousands of dollars, including access to a gourmet restaurant, a lounge, and a range of exclusive events and perks unavailable to regular park visitors. The interiors are lavishly decorated, offering an elegant respite from the bustling energy of Disneyland. With its rich history having been originally designed as a place for Walt Disney to entertain dignitaries and VIPs, Club 33 remains one of the most coveted hidden gems in Disneyland, offering a side of the park that the public never sees and adding an air of mystique to the already magical environment.
We're going to start off with Pine Gap in Australia. This is a secretive facility that sits in the Australian outback, about 12 miles southwest of Alice Springs. It's run jointly by the United States and Australia and is officially known as the Joint Defense Facility Pine Gap, or JDFPG. It was established in 1966 with the purpose of collecting signals intelligence, but so much of what really goes on here is, unsurprisingly, classified. So of course, rumors are aplenty. The facility is equipped with advanced technology like satellite dishes and radomes, which are structures that cover antennas to protect them from the environment. Obviously, these are used to monitor things, but as for what they're paying attention to, classified. There are some people in the conspiratorial realm that say this place is involved in more than just signals intelligence, that maybe the place plays a role in global surveillance, missile tracking, or even extraterrestrial activities. The facility's role in supporting US military operations has also led to a lot of speculation. The Australian government does acknowledge the existence of Pine Gap, but is very tight-lipped about what actually goes on there. If you are enjoying our channel so far, then please don't be tight-lipped yourself. Comment down below there and don't forget to subscribe as well. I'm getting good at just throwing those in. I always connect them. I'm a very talented person. Alright, let's switch gears for a moment and discuss one of my favorite subjects, haunted hotel rooms. Legend has it that in the early years of the Fairmount Banff Springs Hotel in Canada, a couple and their young daughter stayed in room 873. Now, there are many different versions of this story, usually ending with the daughter or the entire family dying. But after this unfortunate incident, the room continued being rented out for a while to guests, but guests would then start running out of the room screaming, claiming they'd get startled awake to the sound of screams in their room, but they'd only find bloody handprints on the mirrors, no one else there. But these prints would disappear by the time hotel staff would arrive to investigate. In an attempt to hush up the incident and avoid any more negative publicity, the hotel sealed off room 873. At least that's how the story goes. So even though the room is officially out of commission, guests staying nearby have reported eerie occurrences ever since. The faint sound of a child weeping, mysterious shadows, and unexplained noises are also reported pretty regularly. And if you ask hotel staff about room 873, they'll claim it never existed. I mean, there is no actual room there, it's just a wall. But there clearly used to be a room 873. First of all, there are rooms ending in 73 on every floor. There's this gap in the middle of the hallway on the 8th floor where it looks like a room would have been. Plus, there's a light on the ceiling of the empty spot, just like there are lights by every other room. There's lots of signs that point to the fact that they just kind of covered it up. But staff, for whatever reason, they're just not allowed to talk about it. It's pretty interesting. Fairmount Banff Springs Hotel has gained quite the reputation as a haunted tourist attraction. So if you're ever lucky enough to visit this place in the Canadian Rockies, keep an eye out for those lingering spirits from room 873. Next on the list is pretty fascinating and actually makes a lot of sense. It's the Svalbard Global Seed Vault in Norway. So this place is sometimes referred to as the Doomsday Vault. It's not as ominous as it sounds, though. This place is built into the permafrost of a mountain on the island of Spitsbergen and was officially opened in 2008. So what's this place used for? Well, it's a seed vault. It acts as a global backup storage facility for seeds, housing and preserving a huge collection of plant species from all over the world. And the idea here is to safeguard the world's plants by storing duplicate samples of seeds in a secure, remote location. Norway seems like a pretty ideal spot for that. The permafrost surrounding the vault provides a natural form of refrigeration, perfect for preserving seeds. The vault is a failsafe designed to withstand natural and man-made disasters, even nuclear war or climate-related catastrophes, making sure that we'll have seeds to repopulate the earth with crops if anything goes catastrophically wrong. Probably no surprise to anyone, but this place is heavily safeguarded and completely off limits to the general public.
Next up, we have the Woomera Prohibited Area, sprawling across the arid landscape of South Australia. This place stands as one of the world's largest military testing ranges. Covering an area larger than some countries, this vast, desolate expanse is full of secrecy and tightly guarded against public intrusion. Established in the Cold War era, it has been an essential site for testing a wide array of military hardware, ranging from cutting-edge missiles and advanced weaponry to unmanned aerial vehicles and drones. The testing conducted here is crucial for national defense and international collaborations involving partners like the United States. The airspace above Woomera is regularly cleared for testing, creating a temporary no-fly zone that underscores the seriousness of the activities undertaken. Despite its importance, very little is known about the specific projects and experiments conducted within its boundaries, as strict security measures and confidentiality agreements keep these details out of the public eye. This combination of vastness, secrecy, and advanced military technology makes the Woomera Prohibited Area a fascinating and intimidating locale, far more restricted than most classified sites globally. Nestled in the ancient city of Aksum, Ethiopia, stands a modest chapel believed to be the final resting place of one of history's greatest relics, the Ark of the Covenant. This sacred chest, as described in the Hebrew Bible, is said to contain these stone tablets of the 10 Commandments given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Shrouded in divine mystery, the Ark's presence in this chapel is guarded by a single monk appointed for life. This guardian, sworn by a vow of silence and seclusion, is the sole human allowed to gaze upon the Ark, making this one of the most restricted religious sites on the planet. This strict access and secretive nature of the chapel's contents have imbued it with a profound sense of reverence and intrigue. Pilgrims and tourists may visit the compound, but the chapel itself remains a tantalizing mystery, its secrets preserved within its unassuming walls. The blend of myth, religion, and historical significance surrounding the Ark continues to captivate the imagination of believers and skeptics alike, making the Chapel of the Ark of the Covenant a unique and mysterious site in the tapestry of human history. Moving on down, we have the Heard Island volcano. Heard Island, situated in the sub-Antarctic, is one of the most remote and inhospitable places on Earth. Dominated by the active volcano Big Ben, the island presents a landscape of dramatic natural beauty and daunting extremes. The harsh climate, characterized by persistent cold, fierce winds, and heavy snowfall, renders access to this isolated island almost impossible.
Besides its challenging geography, Heard Island is designated as a protected nature reserve, emphasizing conservation and scientific study while strictly limiting human interference. This combination of natural barriers and legal protection ensures that Heard Island remains one of the least disturbed ecosystems on the planet, a pristine sanctuary for wildlife, and a natural laboratory for scientists studying climate change and volcanic activity. Next up, we have the Royal Bedroom in the United Kingdom. Located in the heart of Buckingham Palace, the Queen's bedroom, well, I suppose it's now the King's bedroom, epitomizes exclusivity and is undeniably one of the most restricted rooms in the entire United Kingdom. This room, steeped in royal history, is a sanctuary for the reigning monarch, filled with priceless artifacts and personal treasures. Its notoriety peaked in 1982 when an intruder, Michael Fagan, shockingly made it past palace security and into the room, an unprecedented breach that shook the foundations of royal security. This incident prompted a massive overhaul of palace security protocols, of course, transforming the bedroom into a veritable fortress within Buckingham Palace. Access to this room is now more tightly controlled than ever, reserved for a select few and guarded with the highest levels of security, ensuring that such a breach remains a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. Moving on, we have Area 122. Area 122, ensconced within the Antarctic Treaty's no-go zones, lies secluded on an island in the Enderby Land, a remote part of Antarctica known for its harsh and unforgiving climate. This area is designated as a specially protected zone, aimed at preserving its unique and fragile ecosystem. It's a sanctuary for an array of polar wildlife, including species that are not found anywhere else on the planet. The strict restrictions in place mean that access is extremely limited, with tourists and even scientists requiring special permits to visit. These permits are seldom granted, ensuring that human impact on the area's pristine environment is kept to an absolute minimum. The isolation and protection of Area 122 make it one of the most intriguing and least disturbed natural areas on Earth, a true example of untouched wilderness. Next up, we have the Granite Mountain Records Vault. Owned by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, the Granite Mountain Records Vault is an awe-inspiring facility carved deep into a mountainside near Salt Lake City, Utah. This massive vault, constructed in the 1960s, is a fortress designated to withstand natural disasters and nuclear attacks. Its primary purpose is to house and protect a vast collection of genealogical and historical records, including millions of microfilm reels containing family history and vital records from all over the world. The security measures surrounding the vault are extraordinary, featuring state-of-the-art technology and rigorous protocols to ensure the preservation and protection of these invaluable records. The public's access to the vault itself is extremely limited, with the church maintaining strict control over who can enter the facility. This secrecy and the critical nature of the documents stored within add to the vault's mystique, making it a topic of fascination and intrigue among both genealogists and just the general public. Next up, we have Porton Down. A British research facility located in Wiltshire, Porton Down is a hub of scientific inquiry dedicated to the study of chemical and biological weapons. Established during the First World War, it has since been at the forefront of research in these fields. The activities and experiments conducted at Porton Down are of the highest classification, covered in secrecy and subject to strict government oversight. This veil of mystery has made the facility a magnet for conspiracy theories and controversies over the years. It has been associated with everything from unethical human testing to the development of advanced undisclosed weaponry. Despite its notoriety, Porton Down plays a crucial role in national defense, helping the UK to understand and defend against chemical and biological threats. However, the exact nature of much of its research remains a closely guarded secret, adding to its mysterious and somewhat ominous reputation.
First up is North Sentinel Island. North Sentinel Island is one of the most forbidden places in the world. It is where the Sentinelese tribe resides, and they usually resolve to violence to keep their isolation still going. The Sentinelese tribe have existed on the island for more than 50,000 years, as per the protection given by the Indian government. This island is forbidden for any visitor of any kind, and throughout history, encounters with the population have been met with violence. Now, in November October 1961, Michael Rockefeller traveled to see the Sentinelese tribe when he went missing. Despite a 2-week search and a witness who supposedly saw him swimming in the ocean, his body was never found. It said that he was eaten by tribe members as they were involved in that practice, and they sometimes ended people's lives as part of rituals. Now, it's also been said that his boat overturned and he swam to shore to look for help, and that's when he was attacked, as nobody ever saw him again. Some members of local tribes have told stories indicating that Michael's life ended upon reaching the shore, and that his body was cut up and the parts were handed out as gruesome trophies. And guys, please never try to go to that island, like, ever. Next up is Solva Bay. Solva Bay is home to hundreds of shipwrecks, with 216 occurring between April 1915 and January 1916 alone. Now, but even more concerning is the bizarre weather phenomenon that resulted in a mass disappearance. In August 1915, an entire army of soldiers vanished after walking into a strange-looking cloud. Onlookers reported seeing a large silvery cloud slowly engulf the British colonel, 16 officers, and 250 soldiers in a forest near the coast. Eventually, the cloud rose and joined with several others before moving against a strong wind and disappearing from view. Later, 180 bodies were found scattered over 1 square mile near a small farm. A witness said it looked like they fell from a great height. Now, there is still no explanation for the deaths or missing men, but UFOs, a portal to a parallel universe, and a secret chemical weapon are all among the more popular theories, but regardless, that whole situation is just so strange. The next location is Pyramid Lake. As one of the largest natural lakes in Nevada, Pyramid Lake covers 125,000 acres and is surrounded by many unique rock formations, with a large pyramid-shaped one in the lake that inspired its name. Pyramid Lake has a dark history that some believe led to the several disappearances. Now, the lake saw one of the bloodiest battles between the Native Americans and white settlers in the state when the local Paiute tribe joined with the Shoshones and Bannocks. Together, they ended the lives of more settlers than ever before. In addition, the Paiute tribe had long believed that Pyramid Lake was cursed. According to one legend, a mermaid from the lake fell in love with a tribesman, but his family disapproved of their union. Furious, she cursed the lake and everyone who lived around it. Now, another legend involves demons who appear as creatures known as water babies. They are said to haunt the lake just under the surface, waiting to pull in unsuspecting fishermen. Now, visitors report hearing sounds of crying on the water during the spring, which just so happens to be the same time of year that most boating accidents occur. These legends are often referenced anytime swimmers, scuba divers, or boaters disappear in the lake under strange circumstances. Now, in many cases, the bodies are never recovered, but even stranger, some have been found in Lake Tahoe, even though they drowned in Pyramid Lake. Moving on to the Flannan Isles. The Flannan Isles are a group of 7 rocky uninhabited islands in Scotland. In 1899, a lighthouse was built on the highest hill on the largest island, Ellen Moor. Before the year was over, 3 of its lighthouse keepers disappeared. On December 7th, 1900, Donald MacArthur, Thomas Marshall, and James Ducat began what was a 2-week rotation as keepers of the lighthouse. The superintendent of lighthouses, Robert Muirhead, was the last one to see them alive when he performed a routine check. Heavy mist around the island caused problems, as the lighthouse was also monitored by a telescope from the mainland, allowing the men to signal for help if they needed, but with the mist, they couldn't see. The lighthouse was visible on December 7th and 12th, but a passing ship reported that the light was off on the 15th. It was not seen again until the 29th, 8 days after the men should have ended their rotation. Their relief arrived late due to bad weather and found that a clock had stopped, no fire was burning, and a meal was sitting on the table untouched. But the men were gone and they were never seen again.
Next is North Brother Island. North Brother Island in the East River near New York City has a very interesting history. Probably the most famous story about this place is that it used to house quarantined people. In the late 1800s, Riverside Hospital was built on North Brother Island to isolate and treat individuals with contagious diseases like smallpox and typhoid and tuberculosis. One of the most famous residents was known as Typhoid Mary, an asymptomatic carrier of typhoid fever who was confined on the island for over 2 decades. But the hospital was eventually closed in the 40s, and North Brother Island was completely abandoned. The crumbling remains of the hospital buildings and other structures still stand on the island today, giving it a pretty eerie vibe. Now, the place is mostly closed off to the public. Visits must be requested and are only considered under very specific conditions, but those who have set foot on the island have told stories about strange sounds and ghostly apparitions there. Unsurprising considering the isolation, the decay, and its very dark past. Next up, we have Room 39 in North Korea. I guess we could throw the entirety of North Korea on here technically, but we'll just narrow it down to this for now. Room 39 is a secretive organization reportedly located in North Korea, also known as Bureau 39. It operates under the government's ruling Workers' Party of Korea. So Room 39's main focus is engaging in various illicit activities to generate funds for the North Korean regime. Specific activities carried out aren't publicly disclosed, obviously, but some things have been rumored to take place, like counterfeiting currency, the trafficking of illicit substances, arms sales. One of the most infamous allegations is that Room 39 has been engaged in the production and distribution of counterfeit US currency known as supernotes. These high-quality counterfeit bills are difficult to detect and are suspected to have been used to fund North Korea's activities abroad. Surtsey in Iceland. So Surtsey is a volcanic island off the southern coast of Iceland. Its history is pretty fascinating because it emerged from the depths of the Atlantic Ocean as a result of a volcanic eruption that began in 1963 and lasted all the way up until 67. The island is named Surtur, the fire giant from Norse mythology. When the island was first formed, the island is named after Surtur, the fire giant from Norse mythology. When the island was first formed, it was completely barren with no signs of life. Can't imagine why. You probably wouldn't expect any life to form in a place like this, but you'd be wrong. Over the years, scientists have been monitoring the place and have actually seen plant and even animal life starting to form on the island. It's kind of become a natural laboratory for scientists studying how life gradually forms on new land masses. Surtsey is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and access to the island is highly restricted. Only a select few scientists are allowed to visit, and special permits are required. This is to prevent heavy human interference and just let the place do its thing. Next up, we have Diego Garcia. This place sits in the central Indian Ocean and part of the British Indian Ocean Territory. It's home to a joint US-British military base that's been in operation since the 70s. The military facilities on Diego Garcia have been used for various purposes like intelligence gathering and air and naval operations. The specific operations that go on here are mostly classified, with only very limited info ever being disclosed to us, the public. So just like with any place like this, there's a lot of speculation as to what goes on here. The US military base on the island has also been a key hub for the projection of American power in the area. It played a big role during the Gulf War, the Iraq War, and the war in Afghanistan. All right, next up, we have a really creepy spot. Bohemian Grove. This place is this vast, almost 3,000 acre campground that's strictly invite only. Super exclusive. It's an elite club and only wealthy men are allowed. Every year, some of the most powerful and influential guys in Hollywood gather here. And what do? Apparently there are weird rituals and ceremonies. Famously, there's this huge owl statue that kind of oversees everything. Rumor has it that hooded figures, world leaders, big shot businessmen, and even famous artists gather around this owl for some kind of secretive ritual. If you're thinking of attempting to venture out and get a peek at the place, it's heavily guarded, surrounded by military personnel. No prying eyes or cameras are allowed anywhere near under any circumstances. So, are there political discussions going on here? Shady deals, creepy ritualistic sacrifices? Not sure if there are any True Detective fans in the audience, but it kind of gives me those sorts of vibes, which are not good vibes. Surprisingly, I haven't talked much about aliens on this list so far, so let's talk about Dulce Base. This is an underground facility that's rumored to be a hotbed of extraterrestrial activity, a secret lair where aliens and members of the United States government team up for all sorts of wild and weird experiments. The juicy gossip is that the humans and aliens actually work together here, collaborating on super advanced technology and playing around with genetics. Some even go as far as saying that aliens themselves are the bosses running the show here. As for the experiments, we're talking mind control shenanigans and even the creation of human-animal hybrids. And we're finishing things off with Jiangsu National Security Education Museum in China. This is not your average museum where you just casually stroll through exhibits. No, this one has a focus on national security. What makes this place extra bizarre is that only Chinese citizens are allowed in. If you're a foreigner, you're not getting in. So because I'm not from China, I don't know what's exactly in there, and it's tough to find any definitive insider info on it. But essentially, this wing of the museum is dedicated to spy stuff, primarily spreading awareness to Chinese citizens about supposed outsider espionage from other countries. Now, in all seriousness, I'm not 100% sure if this place is still closed off to tourists from outside the country, but when it first opened in 2009, it definitely was. Anyway, if you're ever in China and feel brave enough to brush up on your espionage skills, try donning your best spy gear and try to sneak a peek.